If you suddenly can't stand being around people, if social events drain you instantly, if conversations feel hollow and unbearable, if you'd rather be alone than with anyone, even people you used to love, you're not broken. You're in the isolation phase. And, dark chosen ones, this is one of the most misunderstood parts of the awakening process. Everyone around you thinks something's wrong with you. Your family thinks you're depressed. Your friends think you're being antisocial. Your partner thinks you're pulling away. And you start to wonder, am I depressed? Am I being selfish? What's wrong with me? But here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. What you're experiencing is not depression. It's not antisocial behavior. It's not a problem that needs to be fixed. It's a necessary phase of transformation. When dark chosen ones go through awakening, when shadow integration begins, when frequency shifts, isolation isn't just common. It's required. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to explain exactly why this is happening to you, what it means, and what you need to do during this sacred phase. Because once you understand that isolation is not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough, you can stop fighting it and start honoring it. If this is exactly what you're experiencing right now, if you feel like you've become someone who just wants to be alone all the time, like this video so the algorithm knows to show this to other dark chosen ones who need this explanation. Subscribe to this channel because the shadow integration journey we're walking is not for people who stay comfortable in crowds. And comment isolation phase if you recognize yourself in this message. Let's see how many of us are cocooning right now. Stay with me because I'm going to walk you through the 7 unmistakable signs that you're in the isolation phase. What's actually happening to your energy during this time? And most importantly, what you need to do to honor this process instead of fighting it. Before we go deeper, spiritual isolation and clinical depression can coexist. If you're experiencing thoughts of self-harm or suicide, please reach out to a mental health professional. 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Text HOME to 741 741. You can honor spiritual transformation and seek therapeutic support. Now let's begin. Before I explain the 7 signs, you need to understand why this isolation happens specifically to dark chosen ones. Because once you understand the mechanism, you'll stop judging yourself for it. Reason 1. Your frequency shifted. When you go through awakening, when shadow integration begins, your energetic frequency literally changes. Think of frequency like a radio station. Before awakening, you were tuned to the same station as everyone around you. You could connect. You could relate. You were on the same wavelength. But when your frequency shifts, when you start vibrating at a different rate, you can no longer tune in to the old station. And most people around you are still broadcasting on that frequency. So when you're around them, it feels like static. They're talking, but you can't really hear them. They're laughing, but you can't feel the joy. They're engaged in conversations about things that used to matter to you, and now those things feel trivial, hollow, meaningless. This isn't judgment. This isn't superiority. This is energetic incompatibility. You're literally vibrating at a different frequency now. Reason 2. You're shedding your old identity. During shadow integration, your old identity is dying. The person you were performing, the role you played, the mask you wore, it's all dissolving. And the people in your life knew that old identity. They related to that persona. They had a relationship with that version of you. But when you're around them now, they're still expecting the old you. They want you to laugh at the same jokes, engage in the same conversations, show up the same way. And you can't, because that person is dying. So every interaction feels like you're being asked to wear a costume that no longer fits, and maintaining that performance is exhausting. So you withdraw, not because you don't love them, not because they did something wrong, but because you literally cannot be the old you anymore, and they don't know how to relate to the new you yet. Reason 3. You're energetically rebuilding. Think of the isolation phase like the caterpillar in the cocoon. Inside that cocoon, the caterpillar doesn't just grow wings, it completely dissolves. It becomes liquid. And then it reforms into something entirely new. That's what's happening to you right now. You're not just resting or recharging. You're dissolving and rebuilding at the energetic level. Your entire energetic structure, your chakras, your aura, your frequency is being dismantled and reformed. And that process requires darkness. It requires solitude. It requires complete isolation from external input. You cannot transform in the middle of a crowd. You cannot rebuild your energy while constantly giving it away to others. You cannot become who you're meant to be while staying surrounded by people who only know who you used to be. Chosen one, hear me on this. Your isolation is not antisocial. It's not depression. It's not you giving up on relationships. It's you honoring the most sacred transformation of your entire life. Reason 4. Your old world no longer resonates. And here's what nobody wants to say. Most people in your old life don't resonate with you anymore. Not because they're bad people, not because you're better than them, but because you've awakened to things they're still asleep to. You see through illusions they're still living in. You feel energies they're still blind to. Trying to connect with them now feels like wearing shoes 3 sizes too small. Painful, constricting, unbearable. So you isolate not because you're broken, but because your soul is protecting you from energy that no longer serves your evolution. So those are the 4 reasons why dark chosen ones isolate. Now let me show you the 7 signs that you're definitely in the isolation phase. Pay attention to how many of these describe you. I'm going to describe 7 specific signs. Before awakening, you could go to a party, spend time with friends, engage in social activities, and maybe feel a little tired afterward. Now, 5 minutes into a social event and you're completely drained. You can feel your energy being pulled out of you. Every conversation feels like it's taking something from you. Every interaction leaves you more depleted than the last. And by the time you get home, you're not just tired, you're energetically empty. It takes you days to recover. This happens because your energy is in a vulnerable rebuilding phase. You don't have excess energy to give away right now. Every ounce of energy you have is being used for your internal transformation. So when you're around people, especially people vibrating at a different frequency, your energy gets pulled toward them trying to create energetic harmony, and you can't afford that right now. So your soul responds by making social events unbearable, forcing you to isolate, to protect your energy, to save it for your transformation. Sign 2. Conversations feel hollow and fake. Small talk has become physically painful. When someone asks, "How are you?" and you know they don't actually want to know, it makes your skin crawl. When people talk about surface-level things, the weather, sports, gossip, work, drama, you feel like you're suffocating. You want to scream, "Can we talk about something real? Can we talk about shadow integration, about the dark night of the soul, about what it feels like to die and be reborn while everyone around you pretends everything is fine?" But you know, if you said that, they'd look at you like you're crazy. So instead, you just stop engaging. You withdraw from conversations. You stop going to social events. You let friendships fade. Don't matter when your entire soul is being reconstructed. Sign 3. You crave silence, obsessively. You want to be alone, all the time. Not just, "I need some me time." Like visceral, desperate craving for solitude. When you're alone, you can finally breathe. The noise stops. The energetic static stops. The performance stops. You don't have to be on. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to maintain the mask. You can just be. And in that silence, in that solitude, something sacred happens. You can hear your own soul. You can feel your own energy. You can process the shadow material that's surfacing. You need silence not because you're depressed, but because you're becoming. And becoming requires quiet. Sign 4. Old friends don't resonate anymore. The friends you've had for years, maybe even decades, suddenly feel like strangers. You try to connect with them the way you used to, but the connection isn't there anymore. They're talking about the same things they've always talked about, but you're not the same person who used to find those things interesting. They're living the same patterns they've always lived, but you've broken out of patterns they're still trapped in. And the worst part? They haven't changed. You have. And there's grief in that. Because you loved these people. You had history with them. You shared so much. But you've outgrown the relationship, and trying to force it to work feels like betraying your own evolution. So you pull away, not because they did something wrong, but because the resonance is gone. Sign 5. You feel alien around normal people. When you are around people who haven't awakened, you feel like an alien observing humans. And you realize, I used to be like that. I used to care about those things too. But now, it's like watching a movie you've already seen. You know how it ends. You know the plot twists. You know the characters are living in an illusion. And you can't pretend you don't know anymore. This isn't judgment. This isn't superiority. This is energetic incompatibility. They're not bad people. They're just on a different frequency. And right now, you can't bridge that gap without draining yourself completely. So you feel completely alone even when you're surrounded by people. Actually, especially when you're surrounded by people. Because being around unconscious people while you're going through conscious awakening makes the isolation feel even more profound. So you'd rather be physically alone. At least then the loneliness is honest. Sign 6. Staying home feels sacred. Your home has become your sanctuary. Not in a I'm hiding from the world way. In a this is where my transformation is happening way. When you're home alone, you feel safe. You can be in your pajamas all day. You can cry when you need to cry. You can journal your shadow work without anyone judging you. You can just be whoever you're becoming without having to perform the old you for anyone else's comfort. And here's what people don't understand. You're not avoiding life. You're living life more deeply than you ever have. You're processing decades of shadow material. You're integrating rejected parts of yourself. You're dying and being reborn. That is life. The realest life. And it's happening in your sacred solitude. Sign 7. Your energy is rebuilding. And this is the sign most people miss. When you're alone, when you honor the isolation, you can feel your energy rebuilding. It's subtle at first. You spend a day alone and you notice, I feel a little more centered. You spend a weekend alone and you notice, I feel a little more like myself. You spend a week alone and you realize, my energy is coming back. But it's different energy. It's stronger, clearer, more authentic. This is how you know the isolation is working. When you honor it, when you stop fighting it, when you give yourself permission to cocoon, your energy doesn't deplete, it rebuilds. But when you force connection, when you push yourself to be social before you're ready, you feel worse, more drained, more lost. Chosen one. If 5 or 6 of these signs describe you, you're in the isolation phase. If all 7, you're deep in the cocoon. And that's exactly where you need to be. Now, let me tell you what's actually happening during this phase. Because once you understand the mechanism, you'll stop judging yourself and start honoring this sacred process. Here's what mainstream psychology and surface-level spirituality won't tell you about the isolation phase. It's not a problem. It's a process. I mentioned the caterpillar and butterfly earlier. Let me go deeper. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, it doesn't just sit in there and grow wings. It completely dissolves. And from that liquid, imaginal cells start to form. These cells become the butterfly. But here's what matters. The caterpillar must be in the cocoon for this to happen. The isolation is required. The complete withdrawal from the external world is required. Now, before I give you fierce permission to stay in your cocoon, you need to understand how to tell the difference between spiritual isolation and clinical depression, because they can look similar from the outside. Both involve withdrawal. Both involve solitude. Both involve not wanting to be around people. But there's a critical difference. Depression isolation is passive. You're stuck. Nothing's moving. You feel numb, hopeless, disconnected from everything, including yourself. Shadow integration isolation is active. Things are moving. You're transforming. You feel deeply connected to yourself, even as you disconnect from others. You know it's shadow integration and not just depression when 1. The isolation feels purposeful, not pointless. You're drawn to solitude with intention. 2. You're having insights and breakthroughs, not just numbness. You're processing, journaling, dialoguing with your shadow. 3. Your energy rebuilds when you honor the solitude, but depletes when you force connection. Depression drains you either way. 4. You have a deep knowing this is temporary, even though you can't see when it will end. There's a sense of becoming, not just ending. During this isolation phase, the sacred work is happening. You're dialoguing with your shadow. You're integrating rejected parts of yourself. You're processing decades of unresolved material. You're dismantling the false self so the authentic self can emerge. This is not numbing out. This is not checking out. This is the deepest, most courageous work of your entire life, and it cannot happen at a dinner party. You are in your cocoon right now. Your old self is dissolving. Your new self is forming, and everyone around you is trying to help by pulling you out. Come, be social. You need to get out of the house. This isolation isn't healthy. But they don't understand. If you come out before the transformation is complete, you won't be a butterfly. You'll be a half-formed mess, unable to fly, unable to complete the process. So let me give you permission that nobody else is giving you. Stay in the cocoon. Ignore the people telling you to snap out of it. Ignore the guilt. Ignore the shame. Ignore the fear that something's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're transforming, and transformation requires isolation. This isolation is not a breakdown. It's your soul's way of protecting you while you undergo the most profound transformation of your life. The people who are shaming you for wanting to be alone have never dissolved into liquid and reformed into something new. They don't understand that you can't stay the same and transform. You can't perform the old you while becoming the new you. You can't maintain connections that drain you while rebuilding the energy that defines you. And spiritual isolation and professional support can coexist. This video honors the spiritual journey, but therapy, medication, support groups, these are tools, not failures. You can stay in your cocoon and still reach out for help when you need it. The two are not mutually exclusive. So now that you understand what's happening, let me tell you what you need to do. If you're in the isolation phase right now, here's exactly what you need to do. Step 1. Honor it. Stop fighting the isolation. Stop judging yourself for wanting to be alone. This is not antisocial behavior. This is sacred transformation. When your soul says, "I need to be alone," listen to it. Cancel plans without guilt. Say no without explanation. Protect your solitude like the sacred space it is. Step 2. This doesn't mean I don't love you. This means I'm honoring what my soul needs. You don't owe them more explanation than that. And if they can't respect your boundaries, they've told you everything you need to know about whether they belong in your future. Step 3. Do the inner work. Use this solitude consciously. Yes, rest when your body needs rest, your energy is rebuilding, but also create space for active shadow work. Write a letter to your younger self. Ask your shadow what it needs. Sit with difficult emotions instead of numbing them with Netflix. Journal the patterns you're ready to release. Dialogue with the rejected parts of yourself. Process the grief of who you used to be. This solitude is a gift. Receive it fully. Step 4. Trust the timing. You won't be in the cocoon forever. At some point, your energy will rebuild. Your new self will form, and you'll naturally emerge. You'll know when it's time because connection will start to feel good again. Not with everyone, but with the right people. Step 5. Don't rush back. When you start to feel better, when your energy starts to return, don't immediately go back to your old social life. Test the waters slowly. See one person. Notice how you feel. If it depletes you, you're not ready yet. If it nourishes you, you're beginning to emerge. Let it be natural. Don't force it. Step 6. Know that your people are coming. The isolation phase is clearing out relationships that kept you small. Everyone you're losing right now, they couldn't handle the real you. When you emerge from this cocoon fully formed, you'll magnetize people who can hold your darkness and your light. People who don't need you to perform. People who resonate with your frequency. But they can't find you while you're surrounded by people who only want the old you. The cocoon isn't just transformation, it's also protection. It's keeping you safe until you're strong enough to attract what you're actually meant for. Trust the clearing. Trust the void. Your tribe is being magnetized to you right now. Chosen one, your isolation is not a problem. It's your soul's way of protecting you while you undergo the most profound transformation of your life. Honor it, trust it, use it. If you suddenly can't stand being around people, if social events drain you instantly, if you're craving solitude more than anything else, you're not broken, you're in the isolation phase. The 7 signs. Social events drain you, conversations feel hollow, you crave silence obsessively, old friends don't resonate, you feel alien around normal people, staying home feels sacred. Your energy is rebuilding. What's happening? You're in the cocoon. Your old self is dissolving. Your new self is forming. What to do? Honor it. Set boundaries. Do the inner work. Trust the timing. This isolation is not depression. This isolation is transformation. And dark chosen ones, this is one of the most sacred phases of your entire journey. Don't let anyone shame you out of it. If this explained what you've been going through, do 3 things. First, comment isolation phase below. Let's see how many of us are in our cocoons right now. Second, share this with another dark chosen one who's being shamed for wanting to be alone. They need to know this is sacred, not selfish. Third, subscribe for more shadow integration content. The journey doesn't end when you emerge from the cocoon. You're not antisocial. You're not depressed. You're not giving up on relationships. You're honoring the most profound transformation of your entire existence. Stay in your cocoon, chosen one. The butterfly doesn't ask permission to transform. Neither should you. Your next shadow integration lesson is in this video. Watch it when you're ready to emerge.